This person didn't betray you. They exposed a truth your heart was avoiding. And maybe the hardest lesson in life is realizing that not everyone who leaves your story ruined it. Some people revealed the chapter you needed to read. Imagine this. You trusted someone completely. Maybe you loved them. Maybe you believed their promises. Maybe you defended them even when your instincts whispered something wasn't right. Then one day, they changed. No warning, no explanation that made sense, only distance, silence, replacement, a message that felt colder than winter. And suddenly your mind began asking impossible questions. Was I not enough? Did I deserve this? How could someone who cared become a stranger? But what if the real question isn't why they betrayed you? What if the real question is, why did their leaving destroy your identity? Because betrayal has a strange way of exposing places inside us that comfort was hiding. The person leaves. But what remains? The fear, the dependence, the silence, the version of yourself that was waiting for someone else to choose you. Carl Jung once suggested that everything that irritates or wounds us can lead us towards self-understanding. Not because pain is beautiful, but because pain reveals. And by the end of this video, you may realize something uncomfortable. You did not lose your value, you lost an illusion, and sometimes that changes everything. The most painful betrayals are rarely about losing someone. They're about losing the story you built around them. There's something nobody tells you. When people hurt us, we often believe the pain came from what they did. But sometimes the deepest pain comes from what we believed. You weren't grieving only the person. You were grieving the future you imagined. The messages, the plans, the imagined conversations, the version of yourself that existed only because they stayed. That's why betrayal feels so violent. Not because someone disappeared, but because the world inside your head collapsed. Think about a building. If a storm destroys it, we blame the storm. But what if the foundation was already weak? The storm didn't create weakness, it revealed it. This is why two people can experience the exact same rejection and react completely differently. One falls apart. The other feels pain, but survives. The difference isn't worth, it's attachment. The ancient Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we suffer more often in imagination than in reality, and today we still live this truth. Someone leaves us. But our mind doesn't mourn reality. It mourns the imagined future. You imagined growing old together. You imagined proving everyone wrong. You imagined finally feeling complete. Then reality entered the room. And reality rarely apologizes. This doesn't mean your love wasn't real. It means your identity became attached to an outcome. That's the hidden lesson. People become dangerous to us when we ask them to become proof that we are lovable, because eventually they stop being humans and become mirrors, and mirrors eventually crack. Maybe this person didn't reveal that people are cruel. Maybe they revealed something harder, that somewhere along the way you handed someone else responsibility for your peace, and when they left, you mistook the absence of them for the absence of yourself. But here's the truth. You are not discovering emptiness. You are meeting yourself without distraction. And that meeting feels uncomfortable before it feels freeing, because every illusion feels like love until reality arrives. Sometimes the person who hurt you didn't teach you that people cannot be trusted. They taught you how often you abandoned yourself to keep someone else. There is a quiet tragedy that happens long before betrayal. Most people never notice it. It doesn't happen when someone leaves. It happens the first time you ignore your own truth just to stay loved. Maybe you noticed things early. The delayed replies, the small disrespect hidden behind jokes, the moments when your chest became heavy, but your mouth stayed silent. You saw it, but you explained it away. because losing the connection felt more frightening than losing yourself. And that is where the lesson begins. Many people think heartbreak starts on the day someone chooses another person. But heartbreak often starts months earlier, when you stop choosing yourself. You become smaller, you become easier, you become quieter. You tell yourself, they're stressed, they'll change, I'm expecting too much. Slowly, your standards turn into negotiations, and your needs become apologies. Then one day they leave, and suddenly it feels like they stole your value. But look carefully. Did they take your value, or had you already placed it into their hands? There's a story often connected to Buddha. A man insults him repeatedly. Buddha listens quietly. Eventually he asks, if someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, who does the gift belong to? The man answered, to the person offering it. Buddha smiled. The lesson wasn't passivity, the lesson was ownership. Not everything offered to you must become your identity. Someone's rejection is not proof of your unworthiness. Someone's inability to love deeply is not evidence that you are difficult to love. But when we abandon ourselves, every action from another person starts defining us. That's why betrayal feels personal, because we confuse being chosen with being valuable. And modern life quietly rewards this confusion. We count views, followers, replies, attention. We measure ourselves by who notices us. Then one person leaves, and suddenly our entire emotional economy crashes. But what if your worth was never inside their decision? What if self-respect begins at the moment you stop negotiating your own soul? Carl Jung wrote, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, not who stays attractive enough, not who becomes impossible to leave, who you truly are. Maybe this betrayal wasn't punishment. Maybe it was interruption, life refusing to let you disappear inside someone else, because sometimes love leaves, not to destroy you, but to return you. And the strange thing is, when people finally begin respecting themselves, they stop chasing people who require self-abandonment as the price of connection. That's when something changes. You stop asking, why wasn't I enough? And begin asking, why did I think I had to earn what should have been mutual? That question changes everything, because betrayal may break your expectations, but self-respect rebuilds your life. And once you learn that lesson, you never love the same way again. You still love deeply, but you stop disappearing, and that is the beginning of freedom. There comes a moment after betrayal where the question quietly changes from, why did they do this, to, who am I becoming because of this? At first, pain feels useless. It feels unfair. You replay conversations, you revisit old messages, you analyze moments that once felt ordinary and now feel suspicious. Your mind becomes a courtroom. You become both the lawyer and the accused. You search for evidence. You search for closure. You search for one perfect answer that will finally allow your heart to rest. But most people discover something difficult. Closure rarely arrives as an explanation. It arrives as understanding, because no explanation is ever powerful enough to erase disappointment. And this is where transformation begins. Not when life becomes easier, but when you stop asking pain to justify itself. There is a reason mountains are shaped by pressure. There is a reason forests become stronger after controlled fire. And there is a reason the strongest versions of people rarely emerge from comfort. Comfort protects identity. Pain questions it. And questioning identity is terrifying, because when someone leaves, they don't only leave empty space, they leave silence. And silence is dangerous, because in silence, you finally hear yourself. You hear the things you ignored. You hear the dreams postponed. You hear how long you've been surviving instead of living. Most people rush to fill this silence. Another relationship, another distraction, another conversation. Another source of validation, but healing rarely enters crowded rooms. It arrives quietly, unexpectedly, while walking alone, while driving without music, while realizing you laughed genuinely for the first time in weeks. Then suddenly, you notice something impossible. You survived a day without thinking about them, then 2, then 5. Then one morning, you wake up and realize their absence no longer feels like proof of your emptiness. And that moment changes everything, because you begin understanding something that philosophers and sages have repeated for centuries. You are not your suffering. You are what suffering reveals. Friedrich Nietzsche once wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." People misunderstand this. They think it means becoming tougher, but often it means becoming clearer. Clearer about who deserves access to you, clearer about what peace feels like, clearer about what you will never tolerate again. And suddenly, the person who hurt you becomes smaller in the story. Not because their actions mattered less, but because your growth became larger. You stop remembering them as the villain. You remember them as the turning point, the chapter where you finally stopped chasing and started choosing, stopped proving and started living, stopped asking for permission to exist. This is the strange mathematics of life. Some people arrive to build with you, others arrive to reveal where rebuilding is necessary. Both change your life, but only one stays. And maybe that is okay, because if they had never left, you may never have discovered the person hidden underneath all that attachment, the version of you that doesn't need constant reassurance, the version that can sit alone and still feel whole, the version that understands this. Love should expand your life, not become your entire life. And one day, you will look back at this pain, not with gratitude for what happened, but with gratitude for who you became. Because transformation rarely announces itself, it quietly begins, the moment you stop trying to return to who you were. The deepest healing does not happen when you forget the person. It happens when you no longer need them to explain your life. There is something strange that happens after enough time passes. At first, you think healing means becoming the person you were before, but eventually, you realize that person no longer exists. And maybe that is not tragedy, maybe that is growth. Because the truth is, you were never meant to return. You were meant to evolve. One day, without warning, you will remember them. Not with anger, not with longing, just awareness. And what surprises you most is not that they left, but that you survived something you once thought would destroy you. You will remember nights when you couldn't sleep, days when your chest felt heavy, moments when you thought, "I'll never feel normal again." But life continued. The sun kept rising, people kept laughing, and somewhere quietly, so did you. That's the moment you begin understanding something almost nobody tells you. The purpose of difficult people is not always companionship. Sometimes their purpose is revelation. Some reveal your boundaries. Some reveal your fears. Some reveal your dependency. Some reveal your strength. And some reveal the parts of you that were waiting to be awakened. This doesn't excuse betrayal. Pain should not be romanticized. Disrespect should not become wisdom just because time passed. But refusing to become bitter, that is power. Because bitterness creates invisible chains. You stay emotionally connected to the person who hurt you. You keep carrying them. You keep giving them importance. But freedom arrives when the story changes. When you stop saying, "They ruined me," and begin saying, "They showed me something I needed to understand." That shift is small, but it changes your entire future. Camus wrote that in the depth of winter, he discovered within himself an invincible summer. Not because suffering disappeared, but because he discovered something suffering could not take. That part exists inside you too, the part untouched by rejection, untouched by abandonment, untouched by someone changing their mind, because your value never entered the room with them, and it never left with them. Read that again. Your value never entered with them, and it never left with them. You only forgot where you placed it. So if someone walked away, if someone betrayed your trust, if someone became a stranger after making promises, before asking, "Why did this happen to me?" ask one more question. What did this reveal about me? Not with blame, with curiosity. Maybe it revealed your capacity to love. Maybe it revealed your fear of being alone. Maybe it revealed your tendency to stay too long. Maybe it revealed how much of yourself you still need to meet. Because every ending carries two gifts. One you lose, one you discover. And often, the second gift changes your life. So no, this person didn't betray you and end your story. They revealed a lesson your future self was waiting to learn. And now the choice becomes yours. Will you keep worshipping the closed door, or finally turn around and see the life still waiting behind you? If this message found you at the right moment, don't rush away. Sit with it. Think about the person. Think about the lesson. Then ask yourself quietly, what version of me begins today? Fade to black.